Okay, here's an update on ammo testing for the CZ455 Precision Camo Trainer, which is the rifle you see here. I've had a few other videos that I've made with regard to ammo and over the past 3 weeks, and now we're getting closer to finding the correct ammo for this rifle. And as of today, I've chosen which ammo that's going to be, and it's the Federal Target Grade Performance Auto Match. Some people, there's videos out there. Some love the stuff, some don't. To each his own. Depending on the weapon, I suppose, is the deal. This rifle here loves that ammo, and so does the Smith & Wesson 22 Victory, which it handles just about anything you put through it. But I must say, after a lot of, troublesome situations and heartbreak getting this pistol, I finally have it working, although I cannot recommend it, but we'll get back to that later. Something that handgun does like, though, is the Federal, bulk, copper-plated, 36 grain hollow point, which I really can't say too much bad about that round at all. It's a pretty decent round. It cycles perfectly through that handgun, very accurately, and it's extremely accurate through this rifle up to 100 yards. So let's start with that. This is the Federal bulk at 125, which at 125 the group is starting to open up quite considerably, and it's just not acceptable. But for the price and for the round itself, and that it feeds very nicely through the handgun and is extremely accurate through the handgun, it's definitely a round that I would recommend. And I'd recommend stockpiling because it's so cheap, and depending on your application. So there you go. That's the Federal at 125. That's some more Federal at 125. Not too bad. That's two different groups, 5 on the left, 5 on the right. And this is South Dakota, so there's some wind involved, and I probably had it zeroed for the auto match, and that's what you got there. It's not so bad. Can't complain about that. And that's actually every bit as good, if not better, than the CCI, which we'll get to that next. CCI, great ammo. Can't say nothing bad about it. Less than 100 yards. It's very, very tight groups. And I do have a video, less than 100 yards where I'm shooting, quarter size, maybe $half size groups with almost all the ammo I tested. But here today, that's 125, and the group on the right is the CCI, which is actually the best group of the day, but it failed to maintain that consistency all day long. The group on the left, closer to bull, is the Federal Auto Match. You got 2 and 2 together, and then 1 flyer, and then with the CCI, you've got 3 in 1 hole, and then 2, which it's pretty impressive right there. That's like I said, I can't say anything bad about the CCI, and the CCI runs flawlessly through the handgun also, and it's good ammo. It's great ammo. It's nice and clean, high power. It's fast, but it in my testing, it hasn't maintained. It's not doing exactly what I want. So we'll go to the next one. Next target. And these are all oriented up. And by the way, today the weather conditions, the rain conditions were, range conditions were 85 degrees, maybe 88 degrees, 20 to 30 mile an hour wind, south wind, which was behind me. Maybe drifting a little bit. It might have been a little bit southwest, so that it was drifting to the right. So I put in 1 MOA of windage to the left. And there's the mini mag. Not bad, but not all that great either. But there is a bull, but that was probably my best shot. And that poor shot, or a couple of those, the one on the top and the one on the left was probably shooter error. But still, That's what we got out of a 5-shot group, 125 CCI. And then we stretched it out to 150 with the CCI. And there you go. And for that, I put in 4 MOA of elevation after zeroing. And that's kind of what I got. So you can see it's getting considerably, it's opening up a considerable amount. Okay, the Federal Auto Match at 125. You know, we can go back to the beginning. Not quite the beginning, but there's 125 on the left, closest to bull. And then another 125 5-shot group. And another 125 5-shot group. And then at 150. And then again at 150. The ones with the X's through it are some testing that I did on the CCI Stinger, which in itself is a great round. Oh my gosh, like just the potential of that round and what it looks like and the speed of it, unbelievable. I think it's 1680 feet per second. The Stinger ends up 8 inches high, you know, at 125 yards. Like if you zero and either the CCI, the Federal, or the Auto Match at 125 or even at 100 or whatever you zero it at, you put the Stinger in there, you're going to be 6 to 9 inches high. And they're kind of all over the place. There is one right there with 2 in the same, and I think that one there is 2 in the same. But be that as it may, it's too spendy, it's not cost effective, and the grouping just isn't there, you know, for this rifle. So not that it matters, you know, maybe say for anyone else or, you know, whatever other platform you're using, but for this rifle likes the Federal Auto Match the most. And the Mini Mag is a close second, I suppose. The Federal Bulk is a close third. These two, all three are almost the same at 100 yards or less, but as you get further out, I'm finding that the Auto Match is the round that I'm going to go with. And there are a couple other brands that I'm going to test, but at this point, the Auto Match, for the price, the functionality, the quality of the ammo is very clean, the brass is nice and shiny, all work really well through the handgun. I've got to say that, you know, I've been doing this testing now. I started out with, I think, 5 different brands. I started with these 3 here, plus the Remington Golden Bullet, and the Winchester Super X, and the Federal American Eagle, which I do need to get some more Federal American Eagle and do some more testing with that, because I only had 50 rounds of that, and I spent a lot of that, you know, in the handgun and in zeroing and testing initially. So and I had great results with that round. So I do need to look into that further, but I kind of have, and I don't think it's much different than the Federal Bulk. It's a little bit hotter, I think, and it's a little bit heavier. But anyway, the Federal Auto Match at 150. Yeah, they're not in the bullseye. That's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for bullseyes. That would take out a prairie dog's head, I suppose, at 150, which is what we're looking to do here. And so I can't complain about that. Once again, let's go back through it. Federal Auto Match at 150. Not so good, but not all that bad either. At 125, that's pretty nice. Another one at 125 that I could, you know, I can live with that. And obviously I could live with that all day long there. And, you know, even this, for the price, and you get 525 rounds for 20 bucks. Hard to say anything poor about that. You know, again, this is South Dakota. We had a lot of wind today. We're stretching it out. We're going out to 200. We're going to go out to 200 plus. So this is the beginning of some serious testing. This is the foundation for 200 plus out of this 22 long rifle. And, you know, I'd like to give a big shout out at the same time to CZ, what they're doing. This CZ rifle here is amazing. I'm sure it can shoot better than I can. And I did loosen the trigger up as much as possible, but I'm going to go with a trigger mod next. There's a couple out there. There's, you know, Timney triggers that you can drop one in for 125 bucks. There's the Yodave spring kit for $18, which gives you a variety of springs. And then, you know, there's the Ace Hardware spring. I'm not sure of the number. I have it written down. Another guy did a deal on that on YouTube. And I'm going to start with that by replacing that. And I can tell you that just by dropping down the trigger as much as possible stock, I've seen enormous difference in performance. So the trigger is an issue. As it gets lighter, the groups will get better. And then I also want to say, you know, a big shout out to Area 419. That's this right here. Area 419. I think they're out of Ohio, possibly, maybe Illinois. I think it's Ohio. Whatever area code 419 is, that's where they're at. Area 419, area code 419. They're a precision machine shop that makes a variety of products to make better rifles better, and that's their scope base right there. It's a 30 MOA cant. I highly recommend it. It's a little bit spendy at $100, but it's money well spent. You know, because it clamps down on that dovetail uniformly. It's not going to loosen up. You got the 30 MOA cant if you're going to shoot some long distance. And what I did is I took the Viper, the Vortex Viper 4x16 off my 6.5 and put it on here, and I'm going to upgrade the scope on the 6.5, you know, next month. So it's a Vortex Viper 4x16, 1-inch tube, I guess it is, or whatever. Or let's see what we got here. Yeah, I guess it's 1-inch tube, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, the Area 419 scope base is actually awesome. I highly recommend it for the CZ. It's, you know, if you want to shoot accurately, go ahead and get it. It's that thing, and the customer service over there is great. I called the guys, and like they'll answer the phone. You can talk to them. They're shooters themselves. Can't say anything except great things about those guys. They had it to me in 3 days. They ship it to you, priority mail, U.S. Postal Service. You give them $100, they give you a nice. They give you a product worth it. That's the bottom line. You give them good money, they give you a good product, no doubt about it. And you can't complain about that. And then also, the equipment for the day was the SIG Kilo 2200 rangefinder. Again, it's a little spendy too at $500, but I've ranged a, you know, a fence post, a brace post at 1,100 yards with it. So a non-reflective target, a railroad tie at 1,100 yards, ranged it accurately and quickly. And then something else I might ask to, might, you know, say is that, you know, everyone needs a book for your range, a range book, range card, whatever. Make your notes in. These you can probably find in any kind of country vet's office. It's a Calcraft record book. It's all gridded out and makes a great deal, you know, for making notes for your day at the range. This one I just started on the 22, and I have one that's full for the 6.5. So, you know, why not? And it's got like a plastic laminate on it, and they're free. They give you a whole packet of them. They give you 10 of them for nothing. So anyway, that's the deal. The CZ455 Precision Camo Trainer, in my opinion, functions the best with the Federal Auto Match 22 long rifle. So, oh, and the Stinger, you know, back to the Stinger. I know it's a great product, and dang, that thing's fast. But, and it's fair. I guess you could probably get better accuracy if I really tried. But it's not worth the money, and the bullet's probably too light for coons. And it's definitely not something you're going to stockpile. Maybe you got something that loves it. Great. Can't say anything bad about CCI, though. It's still a quality product. Even though it's not going to work out for me, I definitely can't say anything poorly about it. And, you know, Federal's a great company, of course. And, you know, I shoot American Eagle out of a 6.5, so, you know, I like Federal. Federal's never let me down. So there it is. And back to that, you know, the Smith & Wesson Victory. Let me tell you this. Let me take this out. And we got a problem here with this thing. I picked this up and wanted to love it. I wanted a 22 because I got a 22 rifle. I wanted a 22 pistol. I shoot Glock 40, and it's just a good-looking handgun, and it's nice and heavy. It's got great grips. There's all kind of great reviews. It's got awesome sights. It's extremely accurate. But the problem is Smith has probably cheaped it out with a lot of different stuff, and it pisses me off. The first thing is I had terrible, it would not eject rounds. It didn't fail to feed, it failed to eject. So it turns out there was a tutorial on YouTube that the ejector that operates the extractor needs to be bent a little bit towards center, which I did. I just bent it in towards center, just a fraction, hardly nothing. The thing works perfect. Okay, great. I'm all loving it. I'm all about it. The other night I take the grips off to clean it. The screw in the grip breaks. Okay, so how does the screw in the grip breaks when, I'm not torquing down on the thing? This isn't, I'm not a gunsmith, but at the same time I am a mechanic, and so it was a cheap piece of shit screw that snapped, which luckily I got it out. It broke off, left enough. It broke off right behind the head, so I was able to get it out, no problem. I just pulled it out with some pliers. So I have to replace that now. But when I took the grip off this side, the dang slide release pops out, and it's got this tiny, cheesy little spring on that too, which I got that back together, and it's working. So I just got to get a screw in, the thing works. But I got to tell you what, if you're going to get a 22 pistol, even though I want to say great things about this pistol all day long because it's so accurate and it's so comfortable, and the weight is perfect. It's nice and heavy. It's got great sights. Everything about it is just perfect, except it's not, because Smith has chosen to cheap it up, on their quality of materials. So what you really have here is something, I'm hoping not, but I'm going to probably say is disposable compared to, the tried and true Rugers or the Brownings, which, I don't know. I'm disappointed. And, fortunately, I didn't give all that much for it. I gave $300, I guess, $320, I think, for it, which, is a lot of money, but let the buyer beware. And, if you're going to do some research on it, if you're going to do, watch, Hickok does great videos on it. Suits did great videos on it. A lot of guys loved it. And really, at the same time, what's not to love? But I can tell you what's not to love. If you're going to want to use it all the time and you want something that's going to work forever and is practical and functional, I think they just went through the motions kind of, and it's not something that would stand. It's not a battle weapon, but at the same time, all weapons should be battle. You're still giving $300. You're still giving good money. The Ruger is no more or no less. So you want something that should last forever, and you could pass on to your children and then their children. And I just don't see this pistol as being that gun. But at the same time, it's extremely accurate. It's fun to shoot. It's not all that much money, but I would never buy another one, and I would never recommend anyone buy one. I would look long and hard at what you're going to buy as far as the 22 goes, because it's already a difficult deal, getting a 22 pistol that's going to work whenever you want it to work. But anyway, maybe there's someone out there that could come up with something, nice, like maybe Kel-Tec would make that gun they make in 25, in 22 Magnum in a 22, or, the SIG 22 1911, I guess, is pretty nice. It's got some issues too with paint in the frame, but that sure would be nice if it had a high cap mag. But anyway, I can't totally diss the sw22 Victory, but it's still, well, it's nothing like this CZ here. The CZ is a fine piece of machinery. There ain't no doubt about that. That's a Manor stock. It's a Harris bipod. It's a Vortex scope, Area 419 platform for the scope. But the CZ is, you might check out Cave Dweller. I think Cave Dweller 1959 maybe is his name, or something like that on YouTube. He's out West River, South Dakota, does a lot of prairie dog sniping, a lot of prairie pest eradication. He's all about CZs and variety calibers. If you're looking for a small bore, rimfire, 17 HMR, 17 Hornet, 22 Hornet, whatever. That guy's doing a lot of testing on all those rounds. He's showing all his shots. He's showing his misses, and I tell you what, that guy doesn't miss much. If you want to see some good shooting and some nice, You want to see some prairie dogs doing the South Dakota backflip, well, check them out. That's for sure, no doubt. Okay, so that's the deal on the federal. And we'll close with, you know, we got to close with the best. Even with CCI in there, you know, can't say anything bad about CCI. CCI on the right, federal on the left. Federal maintained those groups all day long. CCI didn't. There you go. That's a wrap.